She won't? Oh, what?
Oh.
This is why we need to cover all this thing.
It's a beautiful tallis. You haven't worn that one yet with me. Don't wear this right now. Alright. That needs to film again.
I had to make the announcement to everybody.
Awesome.
Oh, did David get his book?
Yes. Yes, I gave it to you.
Okay.
I'll just do what I did last time.
Ready? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are going to begin our service in the middle of page 344. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. I will sing unto God a new song. Shabbat Shalom once again. Welcome to everyone here with us physically in the sanctuary and those streaming us online. We're so glad that we can be all together to celebrate Shabbat. And every Shabbat, as we just sang, we come together and we sing Shir Chadash, a new song. One of the special events in this week's Torah portion is that for the very first time, or one of them in the Torah, we hear about Shabbat. And God tells us what Shabbat is and why it's important. So we'll be hearing more about that a little bit later in our service, but tonight Cantor and I have really tried to focus on this theme of Shabbat's importance and its joy, as we do every week, but maybe a little special emphasis this week. And if you do not have a service pamphlet or a sheet, which we'll be using later during the sermon, our friendly usher Ed Mallow can help you with that, so just let him know. Thanks, Ed. And we will continue in the middle of page 331 with the word Shabbat Shalom.
So you can see on 331 that it's a larger piece, Shir HaMa'alot, which was the song of ascension, sung as people walked up the steps to the temple, getting ready for Shabbat. We're all going to, bless you, we're all going to join together with this melody, and then I'm going to sing some other lyrics around you. Rabbi's going to keep singing the melody with all of you, so if you follow Rabbi, you are good to go. You may have heard it before. It's very easy, like this. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Shabbat Shalom. We continue welcoming Shabbat as we kindle our Sabbath lights. I'd like to invite up Bob and Gina Weston to do us the honor, and we can join them on pages 2 and 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we be our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch
Thank you, Gina and Bob. We continue on page 9. We'll read responsive paragraphs. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And we continue by embracing the angels that visit us each week at this time with Shalom Aleichem on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise in body or spirit for Baruch Hu on page 28.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la,
ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
We continue with Roll into Dark in your service pamphlet.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. For yom balayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, lechoshech lipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. For into dark, light, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, vechoshech lipnei or. Turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
We read together in the middle of page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue back in your service pamphlet with the reading, "We cannot merely pray," on the opposite side of the roll into dark sheet. We cannot merely pray to God to end war, for the world was made in such a way that we must find our own path of peace within ourselves and with our neighbor. We cannot merely pray to God to root out prejudice, for we already have eyes with which to see the good in all people if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to God to end starvation, for we already have the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to God to end despair, for we already have the power to clear away slums and give hope if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to God to end disease, for we already have great minds with which to search out cures and healings if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray instead for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of merely pray, to become instead of merely to wish, that our world may be safe and that our lives may be blessed. If you flip the sheet over again, you'll see Micha Mocha in the middle of the page.
We are walking in the light of God. 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 We are walking, we are walking. Ooh, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking. We are walking in the light of God. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'etar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'etar b'kodesh. Norah tehilot, osei We are walking in the light are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking. Ooh, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking. Ooh, we are walking in the light of God.
Page 42, back in your book. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. Together, for with you our true protection and safety, and in your presence our acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 44, the Shamru.
V'shamru, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, et haShabbat. Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו, ושמרו בני ישראל, את השבת, Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We rise in body or spirit for the Amidah, which begins on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Morid Hagah Hashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim l'chol yom yehallelujah selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Middle of page 59. We read together, "When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot." We continue with a moment of our own personal prayer and reflection.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Nasi Leolam.
Part of our Shabbat experience together is, of course, knowing that we are not whole, that there are those in our lives, in our communities, in our world who are in need of healing, whether it be healing of the body, of the mind, of the spirit. We turn to page 253. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Our congregation is thinking of Carol Babcock, Susan Board, Marilyn Burgay, Howard Cherwin, Pauline Cherwin, Fran Coffey, Harold Cohen, Brittany Combs, Tom Davis, Susan Derby, Helene Edwards, Sarah Fabian, Beverly Fruit, Mehmet Guns, Jesse Halpern, Stephen Harlan, Mary Hartman, Barry Kaufman, Robert Kay, Andrea Mitchell, Tina Napier, David Osofsky, Laura Osofsky, Bert Peters, Buddy Pollock, Jean Posen, Ron Rappaport, Randall Rout, Marlene Reb, Sandra Resnikoff, Toby Ringel, Devora Batrachel, Alex Rosin, Adele Shamban, Judy Shea, Ruthie Silver, Nicholas Sobek, Barbara Strindberg, Judy Van Gorder, Marcia Sarah Batbela Viyitzaka, Caroline Wenk, Mary Williams, Todd Zetlin. If you would like to share names aloud of those you're holding in your hearts this evening, please do so as I look around the room. David. David. For all these names, those that are not said aloud, and those we don't even know, we join together in Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Neimortenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nishem Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Tonight's sermon is going to be a multi-senses experience, so if you have this paper and would like to follow along with us, now is the time to take it out. And if you don't have one, thank you, Ed, for checking. Okay. For many generations, our people have struggled with the concept of God. As Jews, we are supposed to be constantly wrestling with and doubting how God looks and acts in our world. Is God all-powerful? Does God care about our well-being? What does it mean to be God's people? Our questioning is what connects us with our heritage and our history. It keeps us engaged in the constant journey to determine what God is to us. In this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, the Israelites, still newly freed from Egypt, are wondering about these same topics. They are navigating what it actually means to live out a covenant with God, a sacred agreement that God first made with us in the story of Noah with the rainbow and renewed with us at Mount Sinai. The Israelites are beginning to receive rules and guidelines that provide some insight into how they should behave and connect with God, but it is all still very new to them. Yet this particular part of the Torah provides us with a number of tangible ways to fulfill our part of the covenant and act as God's people in the world, even as we continue to struggle with what God is and what God means to us. Tonight, based on the content of our Torah portion, we're going to explore 3 different ways that the Jewish people from the Israelites until today connect with God and act on our part of the sacred agreement we've maintained for generations. First, on your text sheet, you'll see some familiar words that we sang earlier that come from this week's portion in Exodus chapter 31. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing it throughout the generations as a covenant for all time. Just by being here or live streaming, you are upholding a major part of our relationship with God. Part of our covenant is remembering and sustaining the day of rest. Our Shabbat is what makes us unique as Jews, and the Torah reminds us that it is a sign of our unique connection with God. The famous Israeli poet Ahad Ha'am once remarked, "More than Jews have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jews." Our day of rest is a crucial component of who we are. We have celebrated it for generations and will continue to each week.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat dorotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat.
Ki Tisa also includes the notorious story of the golden calf. More detail on that tomorrow morning in Torah study. Of course, melting down our precious metals into idols is not part of our covenant with God, quite the opposite. But what is a formative part of our relationship with the divine is forgiveness. God is quite upset with the Israelites for creating their own deity. Moses reminds God about all that God has done for the people already. Moses questions, do you really want to be angry with the people you brought out of Egypt? And while Moses smashes the tablets of the 10 Commandments in anger at what the people have done, God ultimately forgives them, proving that the covenant is strong enough to withstand even the gravest of mistakes. The second text on your sheet is from Exodus 34 in our Parsha, and it contains the first instance in our Torah of a famous text that we call the 13 attributes. These are the characteristics that God shows to us when we err, and also characteristics that we are empowered to emulate. God, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness, forgiving transgressions. These words appear multiple times in the Torah and are traditionally chanted on the high holy days during our season of forgiveness. They are reminders of God's and our potential to be gracious in the face of anger and to be compassionate despite the obstacles we face. That too is part of our covenant.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Adonai, 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 El Rachum v'Chanun, Adonai, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed ve'emet, Adonai, Notzer chesed lalafim, notzer avon v'fesha, v'chata'o v'naker. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Adonai, 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 El Rachum v'Chanun, Adonai.
The final example from Ki Tisa about finding God in our lives and maintaining our covenant is the potential that we have to meet God face to face. It's on the back of your sheet. In this parsha, Moses begs God to let him see God, and God responds that no one can see God and live. Yet God is still able to connect with Moses. As Exodus 33 on your sheet shares with us, they spoke face to face, panim el panim, as two people would speak with one another. Moses was a unique prophet because he was the only one who conversed with God in this way. And later, the second text on your sheet, the Torah tells us that Moses came down from the mountain with his face looking radiant because he had been so close to God. We Jews do not believe in a God that we can see physically, which contributes to our struggles about how God's presence manifests for us. God sometimes feels very far away, hidden from our sight, out of reach. Yet there is always that potential to meet God face to face as we look for holiness in one another. Back in Genesis, God created us in the divine image. Now it is up to us to look for the sacred amongst the mundane, seeing holiness in our fellow people, speaking with them face to face, panim el panim, just as Moses did with God, is another way of keeping our covenant. God's presence is everywhere, fulfilling God's part of our sacred agreement. May we fulfill our part by striving to find it.
ונעלם, והנעלו אמצעך, כבודך מלא עולם. ינעל אמצעך, מקומך נעלה ונעלם, והנעלו אמצעך, כבודך מלא עולם. דרשתי קרבתך בכל ליבי, קראתיך ובצאתי לקראתך, לקראתי בצאתיך. דרשתי קרבתך בכל ליבי, קראתיך ובצאתי לקראתך, לקראתי בצאתיך.
We continue our service with Aleinu on page 282 as we rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגרר עלינו כחורבנם. ואנחנו קונים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated.
Page 289, at the bottom of the page. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There's an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. In 293, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Members of our congregational family are in a period of shloshim for Norma Golden, the aunt of David and Sherry Kaufman, and Helene Pilton, Indiana, the sister of Annette Cantor. This Shabbat we observe the yahrzeit of Helen Diamond Avedon, Edwin Philip Barwald, Marvin Ben Bassett, Ida Mandel Bazinski, Gertrude Benjamin, Diane Bernard, Lillian Block, Martin Roy Brayman, Joseph M. Bransky, Harold Brochin, Jeanette Brody, Dr. Don Neil Brotman, Hyman David Krieger, Nathan Ehrenzweig, Harold Eisen, Martin L. Essrig, Irving Essrig Jr., Dr. Bennett A. Field, Mark Finkel, Harold Foreman, Deborah Freeman, Mary Guerin, Helen Jane Geldman, Norman Jerome Goldman, Dina Halley, Mildred Klein, Norman Klitinick, Sarah Nieberg, Henry Cover, Jack Levitt, Helen Dinnerstein Lipsy, Jenny Loria, Robert Lurie, Rebel Margulies, Harry Moscow, Jean K. Nelligan, Stephen Ox, William D. Pollock Sr., Gail Core Sharp, Leah Summer, Andrea Stone, Judy Tarantino, Jacob A. Wasserman, Jerome L. Wilbach, Ethel C. Young. And if you have a name to share of someone you are thinking of this evening, please go ahead and add those names to our list. For all of those whom we named aloud, and those we hold in our hearts now and always, we rise together to extol God's name with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithalel v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Please be seated as we invite up Lonnie Derby, a member of our board, to share some announcements.
Good evening. Thank you, Rabbi Glasser and Canterbury, for a wonderful service. Thank you. I combined both of you. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Lonnie Derby, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we welcome you to Congregation Ahavat Hesed. Rabbi Glasser will be the special guest at the JCA this Thursday, the 24th at 7 p.m. for Cafe Israeli. This event is free to the community, so come out, show your support, and enjoy Israeli snacks and coffee. Canterbury and Rabbi Glasser will also be participating in Clergy in a Circle, held at the JCA on Monday, February 28th at 7 p.m. The CEO of Oramed Pharmaceuticals, Nadav Kidron, will be joining us here at Temple next Sunday, the 27th, as the guest speaker for Temple's Startup Nation event. Also on the 27th, our brand new 40s and 50s Club will meet for the World of Nations celebration in Metropolitan Park. Refer to your Temple email for detailed information on both events. Please continue bringing a box of pasta every time you come to Temple until March 20th for our Purim Pasta Challenge. We are trying to beat our last record of over 800 boxes. Our oneg tonight will be outside in the front, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Lonnie. We continue with Kiddush and Motzi, page 5.
Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah b'anu v'shabbat kodsho me'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techilah le'mikrayei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uv'ratzon hinchatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. L'chaim Cantor. And we join together in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Our closing song this evening is another celebration of the beauty and joy of Shabbat, Ma Yafeh Hayom, which you can find at the bottom of page 330.
Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom. Shabbat shalom. Ma yafeh hayom.
As the song says, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, yesterday was Canterbury's birthday, and she's constantly being wished happy birthday. So her birthday is turning into a week-long celebration, which she absolutely deserves. So make sure to send her good wishes.
Here's thinking.